All right, let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Gabriel. I'm the president and CEO of MicroWise Technology, and I will be hosting presenter today for the seminar. Okay, just a disclaimer, anything you learn in this seminar or any other seminar, MicroWise cannot be held responsible for any loss of data or revenue. You need to verify the information yourself. So the agenda is year-end reports. I'm going to give you suggestions of the best year-end reports that you can run. We're going to talk about the good practice for how to maximize your insurance reimbursement. Now we're going to talk about customer reports. We're going to talk about the best added feature in Medisoft since version 19. We're going to also including quick presentation of the patient kiosk. One of the best report that you can run in Medisoft for year end, the collection statistic detail year end. So now, okay, so down here, I'm telling you where to get it from. So you go to collection. This is a report from Focus on Chiropractor. You don't have to be a chiropractor to run this report, but it happened to be in the chiropractor area, and that's probably why, if you're not a chiropractor, most likely you've never seen this report before. And I'm going to show you where that report comes. So this is what it will look like. So you have two ways of running this report. You have the summary and you have the detail. The summary is not going to show you patient by patient. The detail is going to show you patient by patient. Depending on how big is your practice, it might take a lot longer to run for you. So it will give you patient by patient, how much you charged for those patients, what you collected for each one of the patient, and what percentage of collection. It's a good information to know, and you want to compare that from a previous year. So this way you know you're in the right direction or not. Then it will give you a summary at the bottom here, the total charges, total collection. This is collection from patient or insurance. So it's doing it percentage by patient, and that doesn't matter if that money comes from the patient or comes from the insurance. Then it gives you how much of that percentage was from patient alone and the average patient collection per patient. This is a fake practice. This is not a real practice. So those are not probably meaningful numbers, but hopefully when you run this for your practice, you will get more meaningful numbers. So let's take a look and see what it will that look like if I run it in Medisoft. So if I go on the report, Medisoft report, and if I go focus on chiropractor, and I have the collection statistic detail. So you have 1 month to date, prior year, year to date, month to date. So you're probably going to prior year and you want to compare it to your year to date. So do you have a detail and you have a summary? I'm going to just show you both. I'm going to do the detail year to date, and then I'm going to do the summary one. This is running much faster for me for two reasons. One is I'm in the cloud, which is a powerful server, and two is I don't have a big database because it's kind of like a demo database. It's not a full database. So in your situation, it will take a lot longer than what I'm showing. So let's talk about the next report. Monthly AR days. So what you want to know here is you want to know what are you charging and what's your payment. Okay, that's fine. But I also want to know how many days in AR does it stay. AR means accounts receivable. That means from the time you enter the charge to the time the time you submit the claim to the time you get paid, how many days in AR, in accounts receivable, it takes. So you have it in month by month, because this is a fake data. Is I ran it for the for as much data as I have. In your situation, you're going to have it month by month for the year, let's say 2018, and it's going to show you how long in the AR. So the smaller the number, the better it is. So what's a good number? A good number is probably 20. So you don't want your money to be sitting around more than 20 days. So this is just going to show you. So if you have a change your staff, or you outsource your billing to a billing company, or you're a billing company, you want to make sure that you're running healthy numbers. So those are the healthy number, and you compare it for year after year, and you can run those reports. Are nice for end of year, but that doesn't mean you should not run this on a monthly basis if you want to. That's a really nice report. So let's look at what we have here. So you're going to divide it month by month for whatever year you're running. The total charges, the total payment, the adjustment, the working days. How many working days did you have in this month? The average daily income. So that's important to run a business. You want to know on a daily basis how much you're getting and find the peaks and valley where you see like a certain month you received more money than others and find out what went right and what went wrong to screw that numbers. Ending AR balance. So an AR balance is at that particular day how your AR was. So AR means your total accounts receivable, how much money you have outstanding. So this is just showing you day by day or month by month is how what was the total amount for your AR ending that month. And we talked about the AR days. The lower the number, the better it is. I see we already have questions, so let me see what questions I have. Okay, so the question is, what does 2,372 means in AR days? So that means it's been setting for 2,000 days and 2,372 days. This is a fake practice, so that's almost like 8 years. So I might have received a payment from something that was open from 8 years ago, and that's why you're getting that ridiculous number. You hopefully you will not see that number for you. So that's a fake practice. So don't go by those numbers. You said 20 days are good number. Yes, 20 days are good numbers. So some insurance company might take 45, 60 days. Some insurance company might take 5 days. So the average should be around 20 days. So those are healthy, good numbers. Now, it also makes a difference is how quickly you enter the charge. If a visit happened today, it should not take more than 2 days to enter this charges in. And if it takes more than 2 days, that's going to hurt your AR, it's going to hurt your cash flow, and you need to do something about it to fix. Okay, the next report is monthly activity summary. So that's similar to the other report, and this one is just going to show you now if you're running it for 2018, you're going to see each month of 2018 how much your charges similar to what we have, how much we payment we got, what is the adjustment, how many visits or units. Then net effect on account receivable. So net effect on account receivable means is, let's say if I have $1 million and outstanding money, patient outstanding, insurance outstanding, $1 million sitting out there. When I say your net effect on account receivable is 279, it means it's now $1,279,000. It went up by $279. When you see a negative amount, that means so let's say I started with 1 million, so now I have 1,279,000, then I add another 142, another 142, 157, then now it went down by 142. So that means, let's say I'm just gonna make this number up. Let's say it's $1,800. Now it's 1,800,000 minus 142. So this is the net effect on account receivable. So why is this important? You want to look at peaks and valleys. So let's say I have a large amount here that went up. So that could be a good thing. That means I'm seeing a lot of patients this month. And it could be also a bad thing where I'm not collecting money because my account receivable is just growing. And now when I see a negative, that could be also be negative or positive, or good thing or a bad thing. It could be a bad thing if somebody's writing off too much money and you're not supposed to be writing off that money. So I need to review that. And it could be a good thing if my AR is going down because we're finally making some phone calls to the insurance company, finding out what's going on, patients are paying, and life is good. So negative or positive, not necessarily a bad or good thing. It could be either way. It just, you need to find out what they mean for you and to see if there's anything going right or wrong at your practice. And this report can be run from monthly activity summary. That's the name of the report, and it's in a provider financial report under the Medisoft section. Provider financial report, that's also in the same area. You're going to see it by provider. So if you have one provider, then that's fine. It's not going to change from probably what you had before. But if you have more than one provider, that's a nice report to run. And you want to give credit, proof anybody's lacking. So you wanted to show that, which can be controversial. Provider by provider, month by month, how much you charge, what is the insurance write-off, what's the net charges. So net charges means it's just this amount minus this amount. That's the net charges. Then insurance payment, withhold. I don't see a lot of people using withhold. Withhold is usually like when the insurance tell you you getting paid, but we're not gonna pay you for whatever reason. Maybe it's a penalty, or it could be like they don't have enough funds to disperse it yet. So that's what withhold is. I don't know many people in the last 22 years. I've probably seen one practice or a few practice using it. Patient payment, adjustment, net AR, again, net effect on AR if your AR went down, up or down. So this is in my example, I just ran multiple years. So if you want to run the last 3 years and compare them together to see if things are going higher or lower. Now, the one trend that you're going to see, and it depends on your demographic and your type of practice. I'm seeing more and more that patient payment are becoming higher than insurance payment. So your patient becoming your biggest payer, and it's good and it's bad. It's good because you can get that money right away when the patient is there if you know how to calculate it and get the money up front. And it's bad because it feels bad to collect money from patients because as a patient we take it for granted that I'm going to go get treated. I don't have to pay anything but the copay and just leave. So that breaks that taboo there where patients have skin in the game, and healthcare changing, and the doctors that's not following that, they're hurting and winding up going out of business or selling to a hospital or larger group because they're too embarrassed to ask the patient to pay them their 20% or their deductible amount. You have to get that. If you know, especially at the beginning of the year, the deductible season, know what's your deductible, collect that money. That's a low hanging fruit. Get it right away. You don't want to wait until the patient leaves, and good luck collecting that money because that might take much longer to collect. And unfortunately, many patients, they have the myth, or the doctors are so rich they don't need the money. I guess they never worked in healthcare. So at the bottom here, there's nice summaries. So it show you the total charges, total insurance adjustment, total insurance payment, and they're nice summaries. This is my favorite report. So this is a flash report, and I'm going to run it for you in a minute. So this is, again, this is a fake practice. Your number is going to look much, hopefully, nicer than this. So this shows you day by day within the month that how many patients you saw, how much you charge, what's the insurance payment, what's the patient payment, adjustment, and net effect on account receivable. What's nice about this is, one is I want to compare it this year or this month versus last month, or maybe December of 2018 versus December of 2017, because I want to see if I'm going in the right direction or something is wrong. Did my billing staff change? And I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job, or they doing a good job, or somebody is doing a less job. So you want to monitor this as a practice manager or as a physician or as a billing manager. You want to manage this, and what's not measured is not managed. So those are things that you can measure. And another good thing about this report, it shows me the peaks and valleys of the year or the month. I want to know if something is low, maybe because the doctor was sick or if the doctor went on vacation. Is the doctor taking too many vacations and blame you for not getting enough money? So there could be a combination of many things. So understanding those numbers gonna make you a much better manager or much better provider to manage your practice. So let's run this report in live in real time. So this is focused on financial, and there's so many of them. There's the one that says flash report that you can put whatever date range you want. Month to date is month to date, prior month is prior month, and prior year. The one I going to run it depending on which one you're comparing. So there's so many variation here. If it doesn't say anything month to date, or that means I can pick whatever date I want. If you leave it blank, it's going to give you everything just like I had on the screen, which is okay. And this is a graph at the end of the report that shows you the peaks and valleys of your charges and payment. Again, this is a fake practice. This is not real numbers. So hopefully you will never see anything look like this, because this is bad. This is just depending on when I'm doing some exercises, you will see some peaks and valleys here. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Now, maximizing insurance reimbursement. That's a very open-ended topic, and there's not one right answer for it, but let me just give you some obvious points that you need to consider. Understanding your contract. Unfortunately, let's say if you normally you receive $70 for an office visit, 99213, and all of a sudden you get $65. Now some people say, oh, am I going to ruin my day for $5? Insurance company plays games where if they given you less money and you don't challenge it, guess what? Your fee just gets changed to that lower amount. So it's not just $5 for this visit, it's $5 for every visit for every patient that you have. So you don't want it to let it go for $5. You need to fight for it, and you need to, because insurance company will adjust your rate because you haven't said anything. And they get away with it. If you try to do something like that, you'll go to jail. If you try to do anything with the insurance company, they put you to jail, but they can rob you and they get away with it, which is unbelievable. Other thing is make sure your fees are correct. I see a lot of people haven't changed their fees for years. And if the fees changed, if you only allowed $80 and you bill $200, guess what? You're going to only get 80. But if you allowed 80 and you bill $60, guess what's going to happen? They're going to pay you only 60. So do me a favor, just check your fees. And I don't want you to assume, the doctor might assume that my biller knows how, what she's doing, and the biller might think that the maybe the doctor is adjusting that, or maybe the computer is looking up the latest fees and adjusted. No, this is a human effort. You need to get in there and correct the fee if it needs to be corrected. So a good guidelines is anywhere, I'm talking about commercial here, is anywhere between 150 to 200, depending on your area. If you're in New York City, it's different than if you're somewhere in Iowa. Make sure you understand your reports, because if you don't understand your reports, you're not gonna know if there's a problem going on. You need to fight with the insurance. It's unfortunate. Insurance are in business not to pay you. You want to be nasty or hire somebody that's enjoyed to be nasty to the insurance company. And I feel bad, but it's amazing what insurance company, they come up with the worst technique and worst gimmicks to scam you for your money, and they get away with it. You don't want to let it go, and you don't assume that insurance companies that's just doing the right thing. They're not. That it's not an honest business. They are in it not to pay you. So don't let it go. Just keep fighting until you get that money. You might need to write appeals. You might need to write a letter. Some government officials, whatever it takes, don't let it go. Then you have your patient, especially during the deductible season. You want to make sure that you are getting the money up front, or if you cannot get the money up front, you want to make sure that you using the most sophisticated way to send out your statements and to collect your money. For example, one of my favorite product is Bill Flash. Bill Flash can send statement much easier. I'm going to show you that much easier way than doing it yourself in house. And you can also have patient pay you online. It works like a charm, where patients are paying money for you without your offices being open, so they can go online and make a payment and it gets into your Medisoft. I love things like that. I've been using things like that as soon as they ever become available. So you want to maximize on all of that and just be aware of all the things you need to be aware of. Let's talk about best features in Medisoft since version 19. So those are my favorite features. And the number one is actually just happened in version 23, just right hot off the press. So, and that's insurance card scanning. When I take a patient here, it's just like you're familiar, you go to the case just like you normally do. Okay, and you go under policy one, you're going to see a new area here. And depending on if you do in the front or the back, you can use the front and you can have the back for the back of the card, or you can do the front and the back together in here, and maybe have this for your driver's license. So so the way this works is you would just click on scan, and I'm assuming you're going to have a scanner. You don't have to spend a lot of money for a scanner. So that scanner, it will put the card in there for you. You don't want to use network scanners because that will, you can do that, but it will take longer time. Those scanners are only a couple $100 and they work really nice. Network scanners takes multiple steps, but unfortunately sometimes you have no options but to use whatever you have. At this point, I just wanted to just give some interaction and ask you some questions. So I just want to know what version you are using now, just to get an idea to gear this seminar to. So take a minute to answer that, please. So 29% is version 22, 6% 21, 29% is 20, and 35% is 19 or older. And I'm not sure if you guys are entered that correctly, but that's unusually a low number where I'm saying how many people are on cloud or full suite if you have the Medisoft and EMR. So I'm just going to ask you another question. How often do you run Medisoft reports? So the results are, there's no right answer, but every quarter is kind of low because there's so many things you need to measure on a daily and weekly basis. And if you're running reports only every 3 months, you're missing a lot on those uh, reports. The next question: how much do you understand all of the Medisoft reports? I just want to see if people need more training on Medisoft reports. So I will try to keep more sessions on reports. And if you have a particular topic in a report or particular report to discuss, please send me out the information. Let me just show you one thing that might help you. So if you go under micwise.com and you go to the Medisoft page, I have a Medisoft report section here. Okay, and this page here, it has every report for you. So it has explained to you what each report, and when you click on it, it gives you like a bigger thumbnail of what that report looked like. Okay, so when you click on it, it just gives you an larger view of what that report looked like. This is all standard report that you have. If you don't see a green symbol here, it means that you have that report standard in your Medisoft. Once you get to the bottom section, you're going to start seeing ones with a green $sign. So anyone with a green $sign means somebody asked for it. And I've been doing this for 22 years, and people call you and tell you, I want it this way, and I'm surprised that you don't have it, and I'm surprised that nobody else asked for it. So those are the ones that people ask for that I feel there's other people might be interested. So if you want this report, you can get it for a fee, or if you have Medisoft Cloud or Titanium, you can get any of those reports at no charge to you. So any of these reports with the green $sign or the green shopping cart, those are reports that you don't have in your Medisoft. So you can ask for them. The ones without the green shopping, those are standard reports, and I have them grouped by section. So the financial section, the collection sections, so you're going to see them all over. So this is focused on financial and explains what each report does and what. And also, let me just show you one more thing here. If you go to help, I'm not sure if this is available in older version, but this is version 23. So when you go here, at the very beginning, what's new, there's a suggestion here on reports. So in reports here, this is patient daily report, recommended for daily reports, what's recommended for deposit reports, what payment sheet, monthly report, quarterly report, and year-end report. This is what we covered in today. Okay, I see we have a question. What is the cost for the report with the green? Okay, if you're not on cloud or titanium, it's $95. If you are per report, and if you need more than one report, I'll make a bundle for you. But if you are on cloud or titanium, it's no additional charge for it. Now, AR Tracker is another great feature that was added, and it's been enhanced over the years or the different version of Medisoft, and it just got additional enhancement in version 23. So let me just show you that. It depends how many provider you have. It looks at a red eyeball here. Then when I click on it, I get to choose if I want insurance, if I want patient, or I want primary, secondary, or tertiary. Also, you can check all the ones applicable. You can look for only one insurance, or you can, if you leave, the more you leave blank, the more data you're gonna get. So this is fake data. So I'm gonna run it just the way it is. I'm gonna hit assign. Then over here is I see John Smith, that's the doctor. If you have more doctors, you're gonna see them listed here. Then you're going to have them in buckets here, 30, 60, 90, 90 to 120, 120 and above, and unassigned. So over here, what's important here, this is a much better report than running an aging report. So why is that? Because I can drill down, I can sort. So let's say I want to see what's going on with this. I can double click here and I can sort. So I'm seeing unbilled claims. I want to know why they're unbilled. So I can double click here and I can see who's not billed. Then I can go back clicking on the link here and just run it again, or just go back to the insurance or go back to the patient, who the patient are that making in this category that have $577. So I can just drill down or up. I can just go like this and see all the patient. Then I can go back like that and I can go, this is all the patient, or I can drill like that. So then as you're drilling, anytime you're drilling, you can sort. And when you sort, you can just drill more until you get to the area where I can assign a task, or I can add an AR note, or I can assign a status. Okay. I will spend more time later on to explain to you in future training is what is assigning, what is the AR status, and what's a patient AR status, and what's the AR task, and the difference between task status. Then you have the AR note, so you can add a note here. This way somebody can see. So you have a note here. So when you click on that and you go back to the AR note, you can see what somebody wrote and what they did. And down here, you can edit transactions. So if I double click here or edit transaction, I get to transaction entry screen and I get to see what this charges came from. Another favorite feature is write-off utility. Sometimes you might have somebody that slipped on, behind the wheel and AR just grow, or maybe you inherited a mess from a previous biller, or you're a billing company and you took a messy account from a practice and you want to clean it up. So the write-off utility will allow you to write off any positive or negative, that if it's a patient balance or insurance balance, and you get to pick the dollar value that you want to start at and end at, and you want to pick how long you want to write off, like as of what date. See a question coming, then I'll just show you that and I will take the question. So to do this is I'm going to go under activity, and it's under tools, then write off utility. So when I go to tools and write off utility, this is different from small balance write off, because small balance write off is only patient responsibility. This one is patient or insurance. So you pick the cutoff date. So let's say I want the cutoff date is January 1st, 2017. So that means anything before January 1st, 2017, I want to write it off. But I can say the amount does not exceed this amount. So that could be, whatever you want. And the credit balance. So this is for positive adjustment and this is for negative adjustment. Negative adjustment means you maybe adjusted too much money, then now the account balance is negative $100 and you want to make it zero again. Maybe you get paid off more money than you were supposed to. Can leave this open here. If you leave it open, that means there's no limit on how much to adjust. Then you need two things here. When you're doing credit reversal, that means if it's a negative and you want to make it zero, then we'll need to have an account here for credit adjustment. Then over here, when you're writing off, I'm just going to take an adjustment here, or you can do like all balance adjust your own adjustment here. This sample here, I just have too many training adjustments. You're not going to see as many account here. You want to keep it simple. So whatever you call it, whatever you name it, you can create a new one just for, in this particular situation. Then you're going to hit refresh. So when you hit refresh, it shows you line by line how much money is it going to adjust. Over here, I have a $15 balance. I have a $66 balance. I can sort this. I can sort it by balance amount. Okay, those are my negative. Maybe I do want to give a refund to this one. I don't want it to write it off. I will turn it off. And so you can pick and choose which one you want to write off and which one you're not. Maybe this one is too much money that I want to collect it. It's not that old. You will turn it off. So I'm not going to turn it off. Then you can sort it by chart number, or you cannot do the name. So you can only do chart number. If a patient has more than one line, because you might think, all right, so a $15 is not a big deal, a 66 is not a big deal, but now this patient, Adam, has all of this that you're writing off. And you can pick and choose which one you want to write off and which one you're not writing off. And once you turn off the ones you don't want to write off, you just hit write off and boom, it happens. Now, depending on how big your data is, this might take, if I do it here for me, it will take 10 seconds, but I've seen this taking a couple of hours for some practices. So you want to make sure you have a good backup, and you want to make sure that you're doing this while nobody needs to get into the system. So let's take a question. The question is from Jackie. When you put an AR note, would it show on a transaction by? Good question. Is the date from, is that the date of service? Yes, the date from is date of service. So there's two dates in Medisoft. There's date created, that means the date that you entered in the system, and date from means date of service. And that's the number one confusion that people have, and they mix between the two. And that's why some of the reports don't tie in together, because you could be entering something today for a visit from last week. And if you're trying to find out how much business you've done this week, if you don't understand the difference between date from and date created, then you're not going to get accurate information. So let's see. When you add the note, would it show in transaction? I'll answer that question in a minute. The AR note are different from regular notes. So the AR notes is for you to manage. They can show up in claim management. So when you're on claim management and you have a note, you will see it here, and this is the AR management, and you will see the notes and the efforts here. So you have your own tab, you will see it here. You're not going to see it on the transaction itself. Then I'm going to talk about the notes on the transaction. They actually get enhanced. Okay, so let's move on. It happened to be my next section. So before, if you had a transaction note and you want to enter a statement note, this is internal only. You could not before. Before, you can have only one note per CPT code or per line. Now they consolidated all three notes together, the statement note, the internal note, and the EDI note. So you can actually have three different notes here for the same transaction. It's a very nice feature. The next one is also not an easy one. One of the best features since 19. It happened to be also version 23, where they added a way to check if the patient is a duplicate. Now, before, patient was considered duplicate or not based on if you have a social security that's duplicate, and now because All the cyber crimes and all the identity theft, people are reluctant to give you Social Security. Medicare changed the ID that it doesn't have to be the Social Security anymore of the patient. People more and more, they don't want to give you the Social Security. In my opinion, you should not be asking them for Social Security. And now the system in version 23, it will check to see if you have a duplicate based on name and date of birth. So it looks at the name and looks at the date of birth, and if it sees a match, it prompts you. And if it's a match, if it's a duplicate, then it will prevent you from adding that, or you can override it if it happened to be the same name and same date of birth, but it's a different patient. The next thing is there's a new look in Medisoft. So depending on what version you are in, let me just discuss that in detail here. So depending on what version you come from, depending on whose insurance they have a nice summary here. This is if you collect copay, there's a way to set this up that it will tell you how many times they missed their copay. So if I know that their copay is $15 based on here, that means the patient missed it 6 times. So they came 6 times without paying the copay. Shows you insurance by insurance, what's the aging and what's the patient balance. If this number is not making sense for you, that you think it's wrong, just double click on it. It refreshes and recalculates by just double clicking here. It will reduce a lot of headache, why is it not balancing? So that's an easy way of doing it. One of my favorite, this happened a long time ago, there's a document number. I see many people don't have that turned on. So let me just show you where to turn it off, but where you to turn it on. If you're not seeing document number here or serial number, that's a more complicated tracking system, but document number is easy because the beauty about this, normally people, if you're not having document number, normally you see things like this, where you see everything here on the screen. It's humanly impossible to track this. So the more doesn't mean better here. Actually, less is more. So when you don't have this turned on, okay, now if you have the document number turned on, you get this option here where you can see everything or not. What I like about this, that I can go to a particular day, if it groups, this is almost like a visit ID. It groups each visit ID with a number. This is my charges that happened that day, and this is all my payment and adjustment that happened for this visit. It's nice and clean. I get to track if a payment and adjustment here. This is highly recommended to use it, and I don't think this is a good idea to just see everything together in one shot. And if you ever want to, you just turn it on. I see we have a question from Jackie. So the question is, if they prompt you for patient duplicate, so it's going to tell you, it's going to give you 2 options. It's going to alert you that this patient is duplicate based on the name and date of birth, and it gives you 2 options to go ahead and add it, or to ignore and go back to and take you to the patient that were there older, so you avoid duplicate. Is the show all box available in version 22? Yes, the show all box is available in I think this version came at version 17. But unfortunately, it depends on who trained you, or if you trained yourself, or that if you didn't get the setup from us, most likely you don't have it turned on, or if you have Medisoft for many years, possibly it's not turned on. So to turn it on is to go to File, then you go to Program Option, and under Data Entry, it's this box here. Now be careful with this one, where you serialize super bill. That's if you want to track super bills for the patient, so you know who didn't get billed. That's a different topic. Make sure this is not turned on unless you know what this is. So what I'm talking about is forced document number. So this forced document number, normally it's turned off, and I like it to be turned on because I like to use it like this. So I'm going to the patient. I get to see every time the patient were in, they have a unique document number, and when I go to that unique document number, I get to see the visit on 7/6, what happened and what got paid. And if I happen to want to see everything, like if you don't have it turned on, how you missed that view again, you click this on and boom, you got it. So you get the best of both worlds. You got it. And another thing is, if you've been using Medisoft for many years, it's going to get slower and slower. And the reason, because you have all this transaction turned on, is going to take time to load. So by having this document number, it's going to make Medisoft run faster for you. Highly recommended. You want to make sure that your staff is understanding, because I get people that turn it on, then other staff call us and say we lost everything, because they used to go to a patient and they used to see all the transaction here. Now they see blank. Now they see blank because it's assuming that you're going to enter a new transaction, and if you're not going to enter a new transaction, you want to look for a previous transaction. So highly recommended. Another one of my favorite is the tight integration between Bill Flash and Medisoft. Bill Flash is the way to send statement to patient, and it's the way that you can patient pay you online. But what's nice about here is if you have it, if you're using Bill Flash and you have a newer version, when you click on view statement, it takes me to my account on Bill Flash, and it will show me the statement that the patient called me for. Patient called you, say, I have a statement in my hand. The transaction might have changed, and insurance might have paid, or something was added, something was deleted. So this shows you exactly the carbon copy of what the patient is looking at. And if the patient had multiple statements, this number will be higher, and you can scroll between the different statements, and you can see here how many times you submitted statement, and this is for the month of December, or you can just keep scrolling to different. So back to Medisoft, just to show you how easy this is and how it works. You go to statement management and you hit create statement just like you do, and you want to do a remainder, and you put the dollar amount here. Usually I recommend like $5 or $10. When you hit create, it creates all the statement. Then when you send it, look how easy sending this. I'm sending with Bill Flash, and I will hit OK. And what is it going to do? It's going to communicate. I get to do another filter here. It gets to communicate with Bill Flash, and it consolidate all the statements and send it to Bill Flash. Now it's going to open Bill Flash for me, and it's going to show me my statement. People say, well, I like to see what I'm sending. Okay, well, nothing different here. When you submit, it will show you here that I submitted, today. I submitted 19 statements. I can review them. When I review them on the screen, I get to see one by one. I can sort them. When I click on it, I get to view what it looked like. I can add a note. So I can edit and type a note there that will show up. This is much nicer and neater than what most people do, because patient will pay attention to this more. It looks professional. It has a stop. It's colorful, and highly recommending this. So now the AMA, they want you to buy a license for the CPT code. I've been talking about this before. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but the license is included if you have the cloud. If not, then it's $49 per provider, or per NPI per year. And version 23 or 22 actually tracks that number. And just let me show you how nice it is if you have it turned on and you have a license. So let me go back to Medisoft. So when you are doing a transaction, and let's say over here is I want to add a CPT code. So I can look up here and I can add CPT code. And when you add CPT code, let's say you are a billing company or you're a practice, and there's new code will turn on depending on what area it is. Let's say if I'm looking for anesthesia, and let's say if anesthesia for the head, I can pick the whole group, or I can pick and choose which ones I want. So if you have the license, then now you will have this available where you can add codes right away into your system without having to do the data entry. The AMA is cracking down. That's legally they own the rights for CPT code, so you cannot go and write as simple as 99213 without paying them money. Even if you use one code, you need to pay them to pay attention to that. And it's with version 23 and 22, they actually come, if you will see that feature there, and it's tracked if your license is up to date or not. Patient Kiosk, one of my favorite. I kept my favorite to the end. So Patient Kiosk is, it's also known as mobile app, which does three things. Number one, it lets you add or view appointment from an iPad or a smartphone. It lets you enter the super bill electronically, and it could be from the office or could be from anywhere you want that has internet connection. Third is it lets you handle patient intake, so patient can enter their own information, they can modify their information, they can sign consent. So let me show you that in real life. Okay, so the mobile app is going to look like this. You will get your prompt. This is the same username and password. You will log into your own practice, and you have three things. This here is appointment. This here is to super bill, and this is the patient kiosk or intake. So let's do the appointment first. So when you click on appointment, I get to see the same appointment that I see in Medisoft. So if you are from home, or maybe you want to have somebody answering the phone while they're walking around, they can actually have this, and they can just add an appointment as simple as take the spot, look at the patient, and once they pick the patient, they can pick the reason. Why the reason is, they can add a different note, and it takes the same colors and same information that you have. And if I open my office hours now in Medisoft, I'm going to see this appointment that were entered. I can just go through different days. I can change the provider if I have multiple providers. So going back, now when I look up the patient, so let's say the patient is, I'm doing Amy here, and now I can add a charges for Amy. So this could be great for if you're billing company and your provider is not electronically connected to you, you can do that. So now doesn't matter if that provider in-house or outside, that provider can pick the CPT code and diagnosis. So I'm gonna hit submit. Then now I can pick the provider. I can have multiple provider. I can choose what facility this happened, and I can add a modifier. I can add different modifier for different codes. Then I will hit submit, and now that bill will get into from even Medisoft. I'm going to show you in a minute. And now the best part here is I can make patient to get occupied and to get them interactive with me in the practice while they're waiting in the waiting room. So one of the things here I'm going to just show you is, let's say that patient that I have on the screen, Amy, she can verify her own information. She can change something, different section. All of this gets into your Medisoft payment responsibility, who's responsible for this, review my emergency contact, verify what insurance, medical history. I can just add or modify what problem you have. Those questions here are totally customizable. You can have as many or as little as you want. Then the forms, you can have as many or as little as you want. And now the patient can click on the form, they can read it and accept it, and that's a legally binding signature that's all tracked into your Medisoft. So when I click on it now, all of this are done. I'm the patient, this is my name, and continue to the next section. I'm done. It locks the iPad, and now they cannot get into another patient. Now it's time to give this iPad back to the staff. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to show you what happened to my information in Medisoft. In Medisoft, you have a couple things. One is of course, the appointment is the same appointment that I have. So the appointment that I entered, it just gets entered in here for you. So this is a real-time connection between your appointment. It doesn't matter if you are in the office or on the road, you get to see the same thing. The other thing here under activity, pending patient, any patient that were modified, anything in yellow that means it was modified, and it shows you if it was, what was it in before and what is it now. So you get to choose and you okay it if you want to okay it, and you can look at things like that. And finally is the unprocessed charges. So the super bill that came to me electronically, I get to see it from here. It's all green. That means the codes they used is correct. And if it's not, I can go and review it. So I see this good. They use 99213 and they have that. And all I have to do is just hit post. And now this gets entered. It gets removed from here. I want to do this one. Again, this is the two codes I did. One is correct, one is not correct. So one of the codes that I used here is not in the system. So if I change it to a different code, and I hit post, and now it goes in, and now the anytime you see the red X, that means there's an issue with the code. I really love this because it's going to make you more efficient. It's going to we are used to enter our own information when we book an airline ticket or a Broadway show or anything like that. It's time for patient to get involved and to help you with the data entry and occupy them so they're not complaining about the long wait or the lengthy, like a lot of practice, they have a 20-page intake form that they need to print from their website and sign and do it at home, and most people don't do it. And but here, and then you have to enter that information in the system again. It's not productive. This is more productive because you're doing it once and it's going into the system for you. You just review it. When you review it, it takes a lot less time than if you're doing it from scratch or you're copying from a form. Another nice feature is hot backup. If you are a network version and you want to do a backup, many times somebody in the system and you can't get them out, and you want to do a backup, so the hot backup is you can do it while the system is running. Now that takes me to another question that I want to ask you, and the next question is, who takes care of your backup? So micro-wise, including if you're in the cloud, your IT company, someone at your office, yourself, or you're not sure. Just want to get an idea. It's, you know how they tell you you should take care of your smoke alarm and carbon monoxide when they change the time for me to remind you about backups, because it's heartbreaking when people call us and they think somebody was doing their backup and it was not happening, and people lose years of data. So the results are 31% micro-wise or cloud, 19% is IT companies, somebody at your office, yourself, and 90% not sure. Those not sure, you need to make sure that somebody's take care of this. Believe me, there's so many people there thinks that magically the backup is happening, and it's not happening. And I've seen a lot of ugly situations where people lose everything, especially, viruses are at increase where people are, the ransom virus is wiping off everything on people's computer. If you don't have a backup, you are out of luck. Okay, so I remind you about Medisoft Cloud. Medisoft Cloud is you don't need to worry about upgrades anymore or update. You have unlimited support, you have unlimited training. You get the CPT code license, use anywhere, anytime. We take care of your backup, we take care of your disaster recovery. It's a one flat fee, so it's easy to budget. You get the highest security, that more than what most practice can provide for themselves. Now, for any new orders that goes in between today and the end of the December, you will get a free iPad. This is for Cloud 2 user or above, and the iPad will be configured for your practice intake forms and questionnaires that you want to have, or all the forms you want, all configured. And or if this is not for you, you can get 25% discount plus $300 off if you are on version 3 version old, so your version 20 or older. So you will get 25%. Everybody gets 25% if you are upgrading, that you have your own server. But for this, I'm giving you an additional $300 because of today's seminar. And if you want to go to cloud, you can get the iPad. Okay, I see another question, and it's time for Q&A. So question from Jackie: how would it work if you are billing service? So for billing service, I'm assuming you're asking about the iPad. So the iPad, you can give the iPad to your doctors, and or it can be configured on the smartphone. The iPad for the doctor, they can enter the super bill for you, or they can enter the patient information for you. So if they doing a house visit or a hospital visit, or instead of giving you scan and fax you super bill or send it by mail or you go pick it up, that information can get into the system with the insurance card scanner. They can scan the card, they can scan the driver's license, so you can eliminate the paper and become more paperless. So it's actually a great thing I have a billing service that they have 19 doctors, and all 19 doctors using the iPad. The beauty, all 19 doctors, they get to use one license. So you're not going to have to pay an arm and a leg for license. It's one license and you can use it as many times as you want. So I think it's a wonderful thing and I love that feature. Okay, I see another question. Okay, this time is from Jonathan. Is there a Medisoft report that shows patient billed with specific diagnosis? Yes, you check the customized report. We have lots of that, and there's a lot of variation of that. So check the report page and see which one you want, and I will make it available for you. I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you for your business. I want to thank you for your loyalty. If I don't hear from you, I want you to have a happy holidays and happy new year, and have a wonderful day.